Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Recreation. RE means reverse engineering creation. So this is all about taking an existing website or a digital product and trying to figure out how to recreate the HTML and CSS of it. This is for people who likes to learn HTML and CSS. And eventually, as we go into more detailed discussions of HTML and CSS, this could be also for web developers who would like to take a peek into the design process and vice versa, for designers to learn HTML and CSS. So what do we need for recreation? Basically, we only need a text editor, like Notepad for Windows and TextEdit for Mac. But for this exercise, I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code, which you can freely download over the internet. For the first episode, we are choosing to recreate Google.com, since it's the most popular website in the world. So the output would be our own version of the Google homepage. So by the end of this episode, we're expecting to learn the first step in recreation. Basically, there are only 3 steps in building the HTML and CSS of a given design. Imagine that this website is only a mock-up, meaning it's a flat image file that was given to you by a designer. So as a front-end designer, we must be able to figure out how to convert it into HTML and CSS into a working web page. So there are 3 steps. The first one would be converting everything that we see into text. So starting from the top, from left to right to the bottom. The next step would be HTML and the third would be CSS. So for the first episode, we're only going to tackle converting everything into plain text. First off, let's open our text editor and let's create an index.html file. And let's go to our, let's say it's a mockup, that thing that we are going to convert. So as you can see, there are pretty few elements in the google.com homepage. So there's Gmail, images. This one, if you click it, it says in the tooltip, it's Google Apps. Then there's a notifications, and this is my account. And here's the Google logo. And here's a text box. And there's also a search by voice icon. There are 2 buttons. The first one will search whatever you type in here. The next one, I'm feeling lucky, will give you the first result. And this one's new because I think it's for the year end. And this one is sort of the localization. So I could change the language or dialect of my version of Google if I click any of these. This is my country. I'm from the Philippines. And the other navigation items at the bottom. This first step of converting everything into plain text is very simple. So we need to do this because those same texts are also the ones that we are going to mark up in HTML. To make it simple, we can start from the top, from left to right to bottom. So first we can see Gmail, then images, then we have the Google Apps icon. Or maybe we can enclose it in a bracket just to denote that it's not purely text. Oops. I think I'm using Markdown. So next is this one. It says I have 2 Google notifications. Let's call it an icon or an indicator. Then this is my profile picture or avatar. It's my Google account. Then next is the logo of Google. So maybe we can have a breaking space here just to denote that we are grouping them together the way we see it. Then we have a text box, a search text box to be specific. Since these things are not purely in text, we can enclose them in a parenthesis and just say that, for example, this one, Google, let's say it's a Google logo. And for the search text box, it's a search text box. Then we have a search by voice icon. Next, we have a Google search button. Then we have an I'm feeling lucky button. Then this one is in text. See what the world searched for in 2018. And next is the localization. Localization means adapting the website or web page in the local area. So in this case, it's about the language or dialect. So to make it simple, we can just convert it, what we see in text. So let's have a breaking space. And let's proceed with the third group, which is in the footer. So you could call this the secondary navigations. So that's basically it. For this episode, we've already made the first step in recreation, which is converting everything that we see in plain text. So for the next episode, we're going to marking it up, the plain text that we converted in this episode, to HTML. This is Brian and hope to see you again. Bye!